Good day, everybody. Brian here from quantlabs.net. Okay, got more questions coming in from the same previous persons before. Was pertaining to, in my videos here, this my modern vision for building algo trading systems today. So there's persons following up with some more questions. On your journey to building a trading system, you mentioned that you were using Redis 4, but you also mentioned MongoDB, which I was watching another video from that European company that uses MongoDB. The question is, are you using Redis 4 because you're migrating to Mac OS GUI environment because Mongo is for Linux, and can Mongo also be used for Mac? I would assume that it doesn't matter. Is Redis 4 just better, faster than MongoDB? Is cost part of your reasoning? All right, so there's a lot of questions here regarding Mongo. If you watch all my Apple Mac OS stuff, that's where I'm moving towards. I'm not going to talk about that here. But in terms of Linux for MongoDB on Linux or Mac, it runs on anything. There is source code you can get through GitHub on that. It doesn't really matter. I've mentioned Redis 4 before. It is faster. It's considered one of the world's fastest databases because it's purely in memory, but it also now has gotten rid of all the disadvantages that it had with Redis late version. Redis 2 and 3 addressed it, and those were where it didn't include the failover redundancy, where you could serialize the data into a snapshot of the data onto the drive. Has that capability, and there's a lot of other features that it has over MongoDB. As I said, it's pure open source, where MongoDB appears to have a core open source version, and then when you want the additional features to give you what Redis 4 has, you're spending big money. So cost is a factor. I'm just tired of paying out, and the latest is the Microsoft Office 365. As you can see here, I'm on Libre. I don't pay nothing for that. And the software is just as good as Microsoft Office. So it's the same comparison with Redis versus other semi-freemium model databases like Mongo, or even commercial databases. Now, this person's also leaning towards Mac. Now, again, I'm using Mac on the front end, and so he's using Mac on the front end, as I described in that previous video I showed, and then using Linux on the back end, which I think is the right way to go about it. I mean, if I could afford a Mac, what do you call it, a high-end Mac, like a, let's go to Apple. I can't remember the name. It's a Mac Pro. So the Mac Pro is a very expensive computer here. It's about $4,000, but it's pretty good for what you get. But the problem is that it's limited. But hey, why not? It's built really for GPUs, CPU, blah 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 blah. But when you look at the pricing now, remember I'm in Canada. You got 12 cores. You're running up to $3,000, $4,000, which is pretty good actually when you think about it. But that's what I'd probably ultimately get if I was just like money was no object. But therefore you go onto Linux servers, and I've talked about that. One of the servers I would buy if I could really do it is here in Toronto, Canada. We have Toronto. I think it's called Canada Servers. Hopefully I got the right website here. I was just looking at these. Can't remember the. Let me just see. Canada Servers Wix. No. Canada Servers. What was the name of that company? Canada Computers. No. Too bad. I just can't remember the name. Canada Servers Toronto. Okay, they're not far from me. Canada Servers. So we got this. see if I can do it this way. They've moved off of, is it this company? Nope. Maybe they're in the Kijiji, which they normally advertise on Kijiji. Dell server, please contact. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to waste my time on this. Let's see if it's any of these sites. Kijiji, Delta. Oh yes, they've renamed. This is why. Okay, so they're called Delta. Or no. Anyways, let's see what they've got. There was a server that I've looked at. It's a very high-end server. They don't have it. Oh well, doesn't matter. My apologies for boring you there. Okay, so that's pretty well what I'm looking at on Linux. So keep in mind, I'm serious about getting deeper into coding. People I know have done coding or are in IT careers that could assist me. You've been using for the last 15 years. I think everyone's been using every PC for the last 15 years. Can't avoid it unless you're hiding in a cave somewhere or something. But not exclusively that. I left the desktop graphics engineering in 2006 where I used both Mac PC. My sister who build PCs installed Ubuntu on my PC as a backup for my data in case I couldn't access through Windows. Sidetracking a bit, but I thought context is important so that you realize I'm not in total newbie in OS environments. Okay, in one of your videos you mentioned charting. Okay, this is another one. You were going to do on Mac. Okay, now this is very important that you understand it. You thought it was called Telerik. Maybe I didn't hear properly, and I did a search called Telerik. This is correct, Telerik. You spoke, so I rewound the window, but I couldn't make it out. Okay, no problem. Let's talk about Telerik. Now, what's really important, if you come under my videos here, under my playlist, and you go under Apple Tech, okay, so Apple Tech right here, what you're looking for, if you go through all these videos, all 30 of them, I'm probably growing, what you'll find is many of those videos, well, a few of those videos cover all the different types of charting, but one of them that I really like is Telerik. Should be somewhere in here, unless maybe I have a Swift playlist. Do I have a Swift playlist? I know I will start a Swift playlist soon. Okay, so let's do it this way. If you come under the search under my channel and just look up Telerik, like that, here you'll see decent Telerik UI overview for Apple iOS, iPhone, iPad. Now here in this video, I demonstrate using Telerik in Xcode, which is again a really good IDE integrated development environment from Apple for Apple languages like Swift, Objective-C. But the title that I want you to really pay attention to is this piece of software, UI, user interface overview, is really only for Apple iOS, iPhone, and iPad, okay? So if you go and do a search on Telerik, iOS, let's say, so right here, UI iOS is retiring. Learn about the retirement of UI for iOS and end users. This is new. Being retired. Interesting. We'll continue to support for till the end of April 20. This is a new announcement. Oh, I see. So let's see what this is going through. We've expanded our portfolio to thus ensuring that we focus on investing our efforts in the products that we provide. We have always stood for blah, blah, blah. So looks like they're going to focus on .NET and UWP and Xamarin and then JavaScript. So they're dropping iOS. That's a problem. But this is Telerik. So I'm not sure what that will mean for me. But that's the one I'm looking at, despite me seeing this, where it's being sunsetted or retired as a product. So knowing that, it is a nice option. So when you do iOS charting, there's a couple of other options. I guess we want Swift as well, because there's also the options for Objective-C, which you don't want. Swift is replacing Objective-C. So here we have, this one's pretty good. It's open source, but it's not as slick as the commercial one of Telerik. It's quite good, actually. So there's Swift charts, which is this one. Here's another one I've just noticed. This is fairly new. I haven't checked this stuff out, but it's something I will need to be aware of. So obviously we want to be able to track all these different options available through these open source. Here, Candlestick's a big one, obviously. Open source is good. It's not as slick. So if I just go now into some of the options for, let's say, what's available. There's a couple. There is, what's it called? Infragistics, iOS. See, again, this is another .NET shop, and they're very good for Windows. So we have this one for iOS from Infragistics. Some really nice options here. So, interface, all that stuff. Okay, so there's that one. There is also, what's the other one called? They're out of England. Damn, I can't remember. Anyways, those are the options that are available. So, obviously, knowing what I just showed you is going to change that. So, back to the question. Sorry about the lengthy sidetrack. The answers. Chart Director and NewPlot for C++. Okay, let's talk about, are those for Linux and PCs? Okay, let's talk about those. Now, if you go back to my channel and you go under video playlist.
Hey there, how's your trading
okay.
going?
And then just look for C++, this one. Let's talk about Chart Director first. Okay, so Chart Director, there's this video here where I introduced Chart Director. So let me just show you that one. This one's not bad, but it's for desktop. I don't want desktop. I want for iPad, really. That's what I'm after. But you can see here's in the gallery some basic charting, but it's powerful. It's like, this is MATLAB quality. This one's good for financial charts, so it's pretty good. It's very affordable, and it's available in any language you want. So here, if you want, let's say, the C++, you can see at the high end it's only $100. We don't care about redistribution. We're not redistributing code here, but I think this one is $149. Includes all platforms. And when they say all platforms, what you're getting here is basically it's cross-platform. So this will run on Linux, Windows, and Mac OS using C++. Okay, I've shown this. This seems to work well. This will also work with Qt charts. So if you go back to my video here, you'll see Qt. Let's say if you want to use Ubuntu Linux or Qt on Mac OS, that's possible too. I am staying clear of Qt. I've just had not good experience with Qt over the last year, and I just want to keep everything pure C++. That's what I want to do on the C++ side, which is pretty well going to be back-end and server only. There's going to be no desktop stuff, but if you ever wanted to understand about something like Chart Director as a library for charting using C++, it's a pretty good one. And as I said earlier, you can see that there's multiple languages that is supported by this. So even Python, so it's not bad. Okay, let's talk about the other one here he mentions. It's called NewPlot. Now, again, if you go into the C++ section here and you look up NewPlot, you'll see some demos of that as well, of other videos. Okay, so I've done that, but if you go into NewPlot here, let me just show you. For C++, which is a C++ open source charting library, it's pretty good for free. It's actually really good. Let me just see some demos here. So here's some demos that you can get with NewPlot. I guess these are new demos of some kind. But let me see. If they have a gallery here. Okay. Demo gallery, here we go. So they've added some new stuff to it, obviously. But here we got financial data. Some really decent little charts, basic stuff. Now these print, it's not for live charting. These are just still images in whatever format, because it comes with its own console, so it has its own equivalent language to build these charts. So you can do that on the console. It's pretty good. Now, if you wanted to use this for refreshing, you could probably do it every 5 seconds, and if you do it in C++, it'd be probably pretty quick enough. I think that might be wise to do, but again, I don't think they have mobile options here. Let me just see if there was. Now, if that was the case, I'd be like all over that. So if I look up NewPlot Swift, let's see if there's anything available. Calling NewPlot in Swift. Let's see if that's possible. Okay, so this was dated. Okay, so it looks like you can do that. That's an interesting option to do. So what you're doing is you're calling NewPlot to generate basically a PNG file. So as an example, I'm not sure if I have NewPlot, but let's see if I do. Yes, I do. So as an example here, what you can do, which is pretty powerful, if I go back into generating this little guy, just quit out of this. Okay, so let me just go to a temp directory. Okay, so if I go NewPlot, if I enter in all this stuff, no, didn't like that. Okay, no problem. Let's do it in Sublime. I haven't done this in a while. There we go. Okay, so let's create this, call it, quit that. Let me think here. So we're in t.temp. Okay, let's run that. Sublime. Okay, so we are, okay. See here, you need to make sure you include the finance data file as an example. So we are going to save this into, under TMP. Let's see here. Okay, so if I do TMP, okay. I want to save file as save as. can't see my TMP system. Oh well, I'm not gonna kill myself over that. But if you run this, see if I can do it without the financial data file. That needs a financial data file. Just keep it really simple. Right here. So if I go into NewPlot, let's see if this, there you go. Simple stuff like that. So basically the query here, back to the Stack Overflow, is that you can call it from within Swift. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to run on the command line within Swift, call it, generate that plot, and then create a PNG that you can load up within your Swift. That's one option. That's not a bad that's an interesting option I never thought of, but lots of interesting things you could do. Here's another option here from IBM that are big players of Swift. Let's see if he's doing Swift. No. But it's an interesting option I never thought of. But that's some of the areas you could go into. So are those for Linux or PC? Yes. So as I said, chart directors for everything, for all Linux and Windows, and NewPlot's the same as well. I mean, obviously NewPlot's really geared towards Linux-like operating systems. So despite me blabbing here and going through all this, as you can tell, hopefully this will help you out. Got more questions, let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.